Did you know there's an ancient text so controversial that it was deliberately removed from the Bible, yet it might hold the key to understanding one of humanity's greatest mysteries? I'm talking about the Book of Enoch, a manuscript that claims to reveal the forbidden secrets of fallen angels who descended from heaven to corrupt mankind. What you're about to discover will completely change how you view ancient history, biblical narratives, and perhaps even our own origins. Right now, millions of people are searching for answers about extraterrestrial encounters, unexplained phenomena, and the origins of advanced ancient civilizations. But what if I told you that a 2,300-year-old text already provided those answers? The Book of Enoch doesn't just mention fallen angels casually. It names them, describes their forbidden teachings, and explains how they fundamentally altered human civilization forever. Here's what's absolutely mind-blowing about this situation. The Book of Enoch was considered sacred scripture by early Jewish communities, and even quoted directly in the New Testament. Yet somehow, it was systematically excluded from the biblical canon by religious authorities. Why would they deliberately hide a text that was once considered divinely inspired? What secrets were so dangerous that they needed to be buried for over 1,000 years? Let me paint you a picture of what we're dealing with here. According to the Book of Enoch, 200 powerful angels called Watchers made a decision that would forever change the trajectory of human history. These beings, led by their chief Semjaza, descended to Earth with one primary mission: to take human women as wives and produce offspring. But this wasn't just about romance or desire. This was about transferring forbidden knowledge from the heavenly realm directly to humanity. The implications of this narrative are staggering when you really think about it. We're talking about advanced beings who possessed technology and wisdom far beyond anything humans could comprehend at that time. They taught humanity metallurgy, weapon making, cosmetics, astronomy, and what the text calls the secrets of the earth. These weren't primitive survival skills. These were sophisticated sciences that would have seemed like magic to ancient peoples. Now here's where things get really interesting. The offspring of these unions between angels and humans were called the Nephilim, described as giants who became mighty warriors and builders of incredible monuments. Does this sound familiar? Because archaeological evidence shows that ancient civilizations somehow possessed advanced knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering that we're still trying to understand today. The precision of the Great Pyramid, the astronomical alignments of Stonehenge, the massive stone blocks of Baalbek that weigh over 800 tons each. How did ancient peoples accomplish these feats without modern technology? The Book of Enoch provides a potential answer that mainstream archaeology refuses to seriously consider. But we're just scratching the surface here. The text goes into incredible detail about the specific knowledge each fallen angel brought to humanity. Azazel taught men how to make swords, knives, shields, and armor. Barachel taught astrology. Kokabel revealed the constellations. Ezekiel taught knowledge of the clouds. Arachiel taught the signs of the earth. Shamsiel taught the signs of the sun. Sariel taught about the moon's course. Think about what this means for a moment. According to this ancient text, humans didn't gradually develop these sciences through trial and error over thousands of years. Instead, advanced beings deliberately transferred this knowledge in what amounts to the ultimate technology transfer program. But here's the crucial part that most people miss. This wasn't an act of benevolence. The Book of Enoch presents this as a cosmic crime that brought corruption and violence to the earth. The text describes how the Nephilim giants consumed all the resources humans could produce, then turned to devouring humans themselves. The knowledge given by the fallen angels led to warfare, vanity, sexual immorality, and spiritual corruption on a massive scale. In essence, humanity received a technological upgrade without the wisdom or moral development to use it responsibly. Sound familiar to our current situation with artificial intelligence and nuclear weapons? But wait, there's more to this story that will completely blow your mind. The Book of Enoch claims that Enoch himself was taken on incredible journeys through the heavens, where he witnessed the throne room of God and received visions of future events. The descriptions of these celestial realms are remarkably similar to modern accounts of near-death experiences and alleged alien abductions. Enoch describes traveling through different levels of heaven, encountering beings of pure light, and witnessing advanced technology that defies earthly understanding. Here's what really makes this text controversial in religious circles. The Book of Enoch presents a cosmology where rebellious angels actively interfere with human development, where giants once roamed the earth, and where divine judgment judgment comes not just as spiritual consequence, but as necessary intervention to prevent total corruption of the human species. This narrative challenges traditional interpretations of good and evil, free will versus divine intervention, and the nature of spiritual beings. The early church fathers were deeply familiar with this text. Church leaders like Tertullian, Clement of Alexandria, and Origen referenced it extensively. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church still includes it in their biblical canon today. Jewish communities considered it authoritative for centuries. So why did it disappear from Western Christianity? The answer reveals something profound about how religious institutions control information and shape belief systems. As Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire, church leaders faced pressure to create a unified, standardized set of beliefs that wouldn't threaten political stability. The Book of Enoch's detailed accounts of rebellious angels, its complex angelology, and its emphasis on esoteric knowledge made it problematic for mass consumption. Religious authorities decided that ordinary believers didn't need access to such potentially confusing or dangerous information. But here's what's absolutely fascinating about recent developments. Modern discoveries have been validating aspects of the Enochian narrative in unexpected ways. Archaeological findings continue to reveal evidence of advanced ancient civilizations. Genetic research has identified mysterious DNA segments in human populations that some researchers struggle to explain through conventional evolutionary models. Even space exploration has revealed celestial mechanics and cosmic structures that align remarkably well with descriptions found in the Book of Enoch. Let's talk about the astronomical knowledge contained in this ancient text, because this is where things get really mind-blowing. The Book of Enoch describes a 364-day solar calendar that's more accurate than the lunar calendars used by most ancient cultures. It provides detailed information about the movements of celestial bodies, the structure of the heavens, and cosmic cycles that wouldn't be rediscovered by Western science for centuries. The text describes the Earth as a sphere suspended in space, surrounded by crystalline spheres containing the stars and planets. It explains how celestial bodies influence earthly events and provides what amounts to an ancient manual for astronomical observation. Remember, this was written at a time when most cultures believed the Earth was flat and supported by pillars or giant animals. Now here's where modern conspiracy theories and ancient texts start to intersect in ways that make both skeptics and believers uncomfortable. The Book of Enoch's description of the Watchers and their ongoing influence on human affairs has been interpreted by some researchers as evidence of extraterrestrial intervention in human development. The detailed accounts of advanced beings descending from the sky, transferring technology, and creating hybrid offspring certainly sound familiar to anyone who's studied modern UFO encounter reports. But we need to be careful here, because the text itself doesn't present these beings as extraterrestrials in the modern sense. They're specifically described as angels, divine beings who chose to rebel against their heavenly assignments. The distinction is important because it frames the narrative in spiritual rather than purely technological terms. These weren't advanced aliens following some neutral scientific agenda. They were divine beings making moral choices with cosmic consequences. The Book of Enoch also provides incredibly detailed prophecies about future events, including specific descriptions of natural disasters, social upheaval, and spiritual renewal that many readers find remarkably relevant to current world conditions. The text describes a time when knowledge will increase exponentially, when people will travel rapidly across great distances, and when humanity will face unprecedented challenges that threaten its very survival. Here's what makes this prophetic material particularly intriguing. The book was written during the Second Temple period, around 300 to 100 BCE, yet it describes technological and social developments that wouldn't occur for thousands of years. How could ancient authors have anticipated developments like global communication, rapid transportation, environmental destruction, and weapons capable of annihilating entire populations? The traditional religious explanation is that Enoch received genuine divine visions that transcended normal temporal limitations. The secular archaeological explanation focuses on how later editors might have updated the text to reflect contemporary concerns. But there's a third possibility. reality that bridges both perspectives. Perhaps the fallen angels themselves provided information about future developments based on their superior understanding of cosmic cycles and human nature. This brings us to one of the most controversial aspects of Enochian literature, its detailed demonology and descriptions of ongoing spiritual warfare between forces of light and darkness. The text doesn't just mention evil spirits casually. It provides names, hierarchies, specific powers, and detailed accounts of how these beings continue to influence human behavior and world events. According to the Book of Enoch, the spirits of the deceased Nephilim giants became demons that continue to torment humanity. These entities supposedly influence human leaders, corrupt religious institutions, and manipulate social systems to maintain their power over earthly affairs. The text presents a cosmic conflict where human beings are simultaneously battleground and prize in a war between competing spiritual forces. Modern readers might dismiss this as primitive superstition, but consider how this framework explains persistent patterns of human behavior that rational analysis struggles to address. Why do powerful individuals and institutions consistently make decisions that harm the majority while benefiting a select few? Why do cycles of war, oppression, and corruption repeat throughout different cultures and historical periods? The Enochian perspective suggests these aren't just sociological phenomena, but manifestations of ongoing spiritual conflict. The book also describes specific geographical locations where these spiritual battles took place and continue to occur. It mentions places where the fallen angels first descended, areas where the Nephilim built their strongholds, and regions where divine judgment was particularly severe. Interestingly, many of these locations correspond to areas that later became centers of ancient civilizations, religious significance, or ongoing political conflict. What's really fascinating is how the Book of Enoch describes the eventual fate of the fallen angels and their offspring. According to the text, these beings aren't permanently successful in their rebellion. The narrative includes detailed accounts of divine intervention, angelic warfare, and ultimate judgment that will restore proper cosmic order. This provides a framework for understanding current world events as part of a larger spiritual drama with a predetermined conclusion. But here's what most people don't realize about the practical implications of this ancient text. The Book of Enoch doesn't just describe these cosmic conflicts as abstract theological concepts. It provides specific guidance for how human beings can align themselves with forces of light rather than darkness. The text includes prayers, protective formulas, and spiritual practices designed to shield believers from demonic influence and connect them with divine power. These practical elements of Enochian literature have been preserved and developed within various mystical traditions throughout history. Jewish Kabbalah, Christian Gnosticism, Islamic esotericism, and even secular occult practices have drawn extensively from Enochian concepts and methodologies. This has created a complex legacy where the text simultaneously influences mainstream religious thought and underground spiritual movements. The modern rediscovery of the Book of Enoch began in the 18th century when European explorers found copies preserved in Ethiopian monasteries. The complete text wasn't available in European languages until the 19th century, which means Western scholars have had access to this material for less than 300 years. This relatively recent availability explains why many people are still unfamiliar with its contents, despite its historical significance. What makes the current moment particularly interesting is how rapidly access to this information is spreading through digital platforms and independent research communities. People who would never have encountered these texts through traditional academic or religious channels are now discovering them through YouTube videos, online forums, and self-published books. This democratization of esoteric knowledge is creating new conversations about ancient wisdom and its relevance to contemporary challenges. The implications of taking the Book of Enoch seriously extend far beyond individual spiritual beliefs. If the text accurately describes historical events, it suggests that human civilization developed through direct intervention by advanced beings rather than purely natural evolution. If its prophetic elements are genuine, it provides insight into future developments that could help humanity prepare for coming challenges. If its spiritual warfare narrative narratives are accurate. It means current world events are part of a cosmic conflict with ultimate stakes. However, we also need to acknowledge the potential dangers of misinterpreting or misapplying this ancient material. Throughout history, groups have used Enochian concepts to justify violence, promote racial theories, or establish authoritarian control over followers. The text's detailed demonology can fuel paranoia and conspiracy thinking that interferes with rational problem-solving. Its emphasis on esoteric knowledge can create spiritual elitism that divides rather than unifies communities. The responsible approach to studying the Book of Enoch requires balancing openness to its insights with critical evaluation of its claims. We can appreciate its historical significance, learn from its spiritual wisdom, and consider its alternative explanations for human development without accepting every detail as literal truth or using it to support harmful ideologies. As we move forward into an era of rapid technological development, environmental challenges, and social transformation, the themes addressed in the Book of Enoch become increasingly relevant. Whether or not we accept its supernatural claims, the text provides valuable perspectives on the relationship between knowledge and wisdom, the responsibility that comes with power, and the importance of spiritual development alongside material progress. The Book of Enoch ultimately challenges us to think more deeply about human origins, our relationship with higher powers, and our responsibility for the future of civilization. Whether these ancient authors were recording genuine divine visions, preserving historical memories, or creating inspiring mythology, their work continues to offer insights that resonate with contemporary seekers of truth and meaning. What do you think about these revelations from the Book of Enoch? Have you encountered other ancient texts that challenge conventional historical narratives? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more explorations into hidden knowledge and ancient mysteries that continue to shape our world today.